moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch, and the topic of movies, of basically how do you get the movies to work more for the comics? How do you accomplish that? It's one that we talk about a lot, and it's on the minds of other people as well, although maybe not as much as it should be. Anyway, here's a question right here saying, "Hey Perch, big fan of your channel, your common sense approach to things. Thank you very much. I have a question about the Disney Marvel movie Juggernaut and Marvel Comics. Should the comics shift to align with the movies to pick up sales? Doesn't even matter what is going on in the comics when the movies hit. Spider-Man 3 was a record-breaking success, but none of that translated to a bump in sales of Amazing Spider-Man. In the comic, Peter Parker is in a coma, and his clone is running around as Spider-Man. Never mind that Ben Reilly was Jackal not that long ago. Then I think he died in Vegas with Doctor Strange or something. Anyway, someone who isn't Peter but really isn't, is the star of the comics when the movie has three Peters. How does a comic book take advantage of the movie's success? If just 1% of those millions of people who went to see the movie bought that week's issue, Amazing Spider-Man would have had a huge boost in sales. Yes, it would be back at Todd McFarlane numbers. I'll leave the numbers to you. How do we get that to happen? Give a Marvel Unlimited trial with Disney Plus subscriptions? That would be a good start. Is MU read the same as a physical sale? Not exactly, but more eyes in theory equals more sales. We'll get to that in a minute. I don't think changing the comic to mimic the movie is the answer. I remember when that happened with the first X-Men movie, character motivation shifted abruptly and everyone was dressed in black leather. That was more Grant Morrison, but anyway. And I don't think there was a huge hike in sales. Well, a little bit. However, some coordination would be nice, if only thematically. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this. How do you make Spider-Man fans Amazing Spider-Man fans? All right. Like I said, it's a good question. It's one that people think about a lot, but you know what I find is more of the fans and some of the creators think about this more than the actual publisher or writer. That's peculiar to me, and I think that's maybe the whole part of the topic that bothers me. Is I would think there should be some weekly strategy sessions around, hey, how do we get some connection to these properties? How do we get them working together? But for whatever reason, that does not happen. Or rather, it happens. I've heard there are discussions like that, but they are really ad hoc, and anyway, they're not happening like they should. We'll just put it that way. I don't think aligning the comics to the movies is the answer, at least in terms of how the characters look, and like you mentioned. I mean, Grant Morrison did his thing for Uncanny X-Men. He gave them leather jackets and all that kind of stuff. But it really wasn't. I don't know. That wasn't alignment. Grant Morrison had his own thing going on, and certainly we didn't see. Anyway, it wasn't that much alignment. Was it part of the idea? I'm sure somewhere in the pitch, and in fact, I think the Grant Morrison X-Men Omnibus speaks to this a little bit, where there was hey, they've got leather jackets in the movie. Let's try and bring some of that into the comics. And but I also think Grant Morrison thought leather jackets were cool. Anyway, I think that was what was going on in Grant's head. But regardless of all that, I think trying to align the comics with the movies is a mistake because they're fundamentally different things. The movie happens once. Now, granted, the MCU has Disney Plus and shows, and kind of it's more living entity. But in general, you got a movie. You can do things in that movie to spike some attention, and then the movie's over and people go on to the next movie, whereas the comics is a monthly periodical. It's something that's selling month by month. And so if you try and make the two look too much the same, movies get away with doing things temporarily, with putting something on that really isn't sustainable. Have you ever heard the expression you go home and you think about the movie long enough, it gets dumber in your mind? Have you ever had that experience? You watch something, you're like, wow, this is really cool. But the more you think about it, the more the plot holes come up, the more the issues start to kind of weigh in your mind. Well, that's the challenge with comics. If you make the comics too much like the movie, then the comics are going to have to live with all those, quick things. Movies are 2 hours of, bursts of adrenaline where, they're going to skate over a bunch of details. So trying to align them is a bad idea. They're fundamentally kind of different products, different vehicles for entertainment. And so you're better off. You're better off keeping those two things separate. However, and you said it there, thematically, they should feel the same. So this is where you don't need to make the characters the same. You don't need to make the costumes the same. You don't need to do that, but it should feel thematically the same. What does that mean? It means that if Spider-Man is an adventure kind of movie that has high action, that is, putting out this action adventure vibe for the movie, then you shouldn't have the comic book be slice of life, rando kind of, here's Peter Parker and an entire comic, having dinner. No matter how funny that might feel to the creators, it's a bad idea. You need to have the comic read and feel like the movie. And that's probably the best thing you can do. In terms of actual marketing business strategy, yeah, I think that it would be very smart to include Marvel Unlimited with Disney Plus, even if you made it dirt cheap. So if you want to have a revenue stream come in of some kind, say, hey, Disney Plus now gives you Marvel Comics Unlimited, which, by the way, you should merge it. People are going to absolutely freaking hate what I'm about to say. But in addition to having Marvel Comics in Marvel Unlimited, you should also put in things like the Disney Magazine and their other periodicals. You should just make it the Disney entertainment vehicle. I understand that would dilute some of what's there. I understand Marvel fans would hate it. It'd be great if, like Disney Plus, you could flip to a Marvel tab and just see the Marvel stuff, or better yet, in the settings, turn off the other stuff so all you see is Marvel. But Disney should just have their magazines, collections, all the different crap that they put together in one tablet app. And they should basically say, add it to your Disney Plus packages for an additional $2 a month. Something very, very cheap. Something where they're definitely not making a lot of money, but is incremental revenue, that you could subscribe to Marvel Unlimited all by itself. But if you have a Disney Plus subscription, $2 extra a month gives you this app. Why should they do that? Well, two big reasons. First, it would provide a huge user base into that app. It would get a bunch of people there cheap. Yes, they would be, in theory, losing money, but it's incremental to the zero they're making now off a lot of those efforts. And so it would boost up the digital dollars that those things are bringing in, and it would hook to an audiences getting Disney Plus and do not care about the comics whatsoever. It would give them. That's why you need to put in the Disney Magazine and some of these other things into Marvel Unlimited. It would basically shove people who have no interest in Marvel to the app. Now, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to put that out there for people who have no interest in Marvel Comics? Well, simple. What's the audience that Marvel is really missing right now that's getting siphoned off by Scholastic and manga? It's kids. If you could basically put the message out to parents to say, hey, you are a Disney Plus subscriber because your kids whined, they wanted to see, I don't know, whatever on Disney Plus, and you as a parent were like, yeah, hell yeah, I get unlimited Disney movies in one location. I feel relatively safe having the kids watch that. There's not going to be, offensive content. I know what you're thinking when I say it, but there's not going to be something that I'm going to worry my kids are going to see. Disney is a trusted brand. So sure, I'll subscribe to Disney Plus, which is what happened. I remember there were a bunch of videos and a bunch of people saying Disney Plus has been a huge failure. It has not been. The numbers are good. I know you've heard things other places. Go look at the annual. It is Disney Plus is doing well for Disney. Now, did they stack a lot of things into it? Did the pandemic push people into Disney Plus who wouldn't have gotten it because they were stuck at home? Yes, I'm sure all those things are true. But the fact of the matter is that service is doing pretty well for Disney right now. They've got a user base. They've latched people into SaaS-based entertainment. They're there. We're seeing the people who are canceling Disney Plus, pretty small numbers. Yes, even after Gina was taken out of The Mandalorian, people are still, which, by the way, we haven't seen Mandalorian 3. And will Gina magically show up again in Mandalorian 3? I don't know. I still give it 50-50. I'm sorry. I who knows? I also don't think Gina was a driving part of that show. But regardless, you did not see mass exodus numbers. We've now seen from the annual reports, from the filings, we've seen what's happened with Disney Plus, and no, half the audience did not disappear. In fact, they gained subs. Yeah. But One easy thing to do to parents is to say, hey, you're watching these movies, you're watching these shows, you like Marvel. Don't you wish your kids would read more? Well, here's something that would let them read more. So for $2 a month, $3 a month, let's keep it at $2 a month, you can get Marvel Unlimited attached to your Disney Plus subscription. Your kids can read comics and they can see magazines. They can get that National Geographic magazine in there, the kind of crap that exists on the Disney Plus network. All this will be there. That would be smart. That would be the right thing to do. So that's probably the smartest, quickest, best way to increase, to make that connection between movies and comics. Now, with that comes the mountain of things like they need to have someone curate it. You need to update the app so it doesn't behave and function like, Kindle and the other, absolute garbage. Like, why don't you just go give some money to Shueisha and let them just build Shonen Jump for you, the that app? Just clone it. Put your Marvel crap in there. Call it a day. That's what you should do. Very, very easy. Barely an inconvenience, as they say. But that would be smart, and that's more than trying to align the characters, more than trying to bring that audience over. If they did that, then they would get more readers, and they would probably be targeting the readers they need to be targeting right now, the ones that are getting scraped by, Scholastic, and some of the older ones that are being scraped by manga. While you could say, you could give me, I've seen people in the comments say things like, you can give me all the Marvel comics, you can give me unlimited comics, but I still wouldn't read it because their stuff is crap. Well, you say that now, but if you had access, through your Plus subscription or through some nominal fee, and you could go back and you could read all those back issues on digital, a bunch of you would do it. A bunch of you are already doing it on piracy sites. The thing is, if you could pay $2 and have it all curated in there, not have to worry about the ads or whatever other crap you get on the pirate sites, many of you would go $2. Yeah, I'll pay $2 for all the comics. I'd do it. So that's what you should do. That's what Disney should do. That would be very smart. And same thing with old DC and HBO Max. You should have a DC reader. It should come, and again, you could put all your other periodicals in there as well. Make it simple. Make it, broaden that entertainment empire. That would be how you win. Anyway, that's my thought on it. I find it funny how you describe the Spider-Man situation. They've got Spider-Man 3 out, and Marvel has decided to put the clone of Peter Parker working for a corporation, looking completely different from Peter Parker, while Peter Parker is in a coma. I mean, why you do that, Marvel? What are you doing? That's the kind of stuff that always feels intentional, like somebody's just out for revenge. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, there you have it. Hope let me know what you think. You agree, disagree? Is that a good idea, bad idea? And thanks for listening.